Imagine you're in the middle of the Cold War. The Soviet Union has just created one of the most advanced fighter jets on Earth. It's fast, it's deadly, and Western intelligence knows almost nothing about it. Then, one day, that fighter jet suddenly lands at an Israeli airbase, not after a battle, not after a crash, but because its own pilot flew it there. This is the story of Operation Diamond, one of the most daring intelligence missions of the Cold War. A mission that gave Israel and the West access to one of the Soviet Union's greatest military secrets, the most wanted fighter jet. The aircraft was the MiG-21. In the 1960s, it was one of the most feared fighter jets in the world. Capable of flying at more than twice the speed of sound, the MiG-21 was being supplied to Soviet allies across the Middle East. Countries like Iraq, Syria, and Egypt were receiving these aircraft in growing numbers. For Israel and the United States, this was worrying. If a war broke out, their pilots would likely face MiG-21s in combat. The problem was simple. Nobody in the West had ever been able to study one properly. They knew what it looked like, but they didn't know its true strengths or weaknesses. And in warfare, ignorance can be fatal. Mossad's impossible mission. Israel's intelligence agency Mossad was given a mission that sounded impossible. Get a MiG-21. Stealing one directly from a military base was out of the question. The security was too tight. Instead, Mossad came up with a different plan. If they couldn't steal the aircraft, they would convince a pilot to bring it to them. Eventually, their attention turned to an Iraqi Air Force pilot named Munir Redfa. Redfa was trusted to fly the MiG-21, but according to various accounts, he was unhappy with his position in Iraq. Mossad believed he might be willing to defect. Recruiting the pilot. The operation was incredibly risky. If Redfa reported Mossad's approach, the mission would end immediately. So Israeli intelligence moved carefully. Over months, trust was built. Redfa was reportedly promised safety, financial security, and a new life. But there was one major concern: his family. If Iraqi authorities discovered his plan, his family could face severe consequences. So Mossad allegedly organized a complex operation to secretly move family members out of danger. Only when everything was ready did the final phase begin. One pilot, one aircraft, one chance. The flight that shocked the world. On August 16, 1966, Redfa climbed into his MiG-21 for what appeared to be a normal flight. No one suspected what was about to happen. After takeoff, he changed course. Instead of returning to base, he headed toward Israel. As Iraqi authorities realized what was happening, panic spread. One of their most advanced military aircraft was disappearing. Hours later, Israeli radar detected the incoming jet. Israeli fighters escorted it safely to an airbase. When the MiG-21 touched down, Operation Diamond was complete. Israel had achieved what many thought was impossible. Why it changed history? Israeli engineers immediately began studying the aircraft. Every system, every strength, every weakness. The intelligence gathered was priceless. Israel later shared information with the United States, allowing Western pilots to understand exactly how the MiG-21 performed. What had once been a mystery was now an open book. Operation Diamond became one of the greatest intelligence victories of the Cold War. No missiles were fired, no armies invaded. Yet a single pilot changed the balance of military knowledge between East and West. And it proved that sometimes the most important battles are won not on the battlefield, but in the shadows. Question for viewers: if you were Munir Redfa, would you risk everything to defect or stay loyal to your country?